You guys lost Brendan with an ankle injury, and AJ played well down the stretch. Do you envision having Brendan back? I know it didn't sound all that serious after the game.
Yeah, Brendan could have gone back in the game. He's fine. He'll practice tomorrow. In that, when you get a guy all heated up like that and he's sweated, he's loose, he's playing, and then he's out for a bit, and they had to retape him. They had to take him in and look at it, obviously, into the rehab center, and then we brought him back out, retaped and everything. And at that moment in time, AJ was playing well, and the offense was moving the ball, and we didn't feel like taking a chance to try to warm Brendan back up to get him going again, and then have him maybe re-injure or re-aggravate that ankle. So we let AJ have the ball right there to the end, and he got a score for us, and then he went out and did a great job in the last drive on the take a knee and get everything and get us out of the game. So, we're lucky now that we have 2-3 quarterbacks that we have no problem going in the game, and we feel confident in what they can do, and we don't have to put Brendan back out there all cold and his sweat had dried and try to get him back up to speed at that late a time in the game and risk further injury. So, love what AJ did, and there's a guy from Hawaii that had to go out and play in cold weather for the first time, so we wanted him to feel that too.
Coach, it seems like Brendan's been hooking up with Delvon Campbell every game consistently now down the field. How have you seen that connection grow on the field between those two?
Yeah, they started that in the summer. They worked out there together. There's guys that work together, and they have got a good relationship, and we've tried to push that more as we got into the season, and they got even more together. I think we took 4 shots to Delvon, deep shots in that game. He caught one, and one was just out of bounds that he couldn't catch, and the other 2, they pass interfered him. So, that's 3 out of 4 times that he would touch the ball and we got first downs or touchdowns. So we're going to continue to utilize that. We got Marshawn Brown, Isaiah Crocker. We've got some guys on the outside and inside that can do that kind of stuff. But certainly Delvon's got a great knack for using his body, getting his hands on balls, even on plays. I think there was a play there where we went hard count and they jumped off sides and our center snapped the ball and they didn't call it off sides. It was a little bit of a wonder why they didn't, but Brendan knows when that happens, he just steps up and throws deep ball to Delvon, and something usually good happens when that happens. The Kansas game was the same way, and he caught that ball for a 60-yard gain. So we're going to continue to use that and utilize it, and we got some young guys there that can also do it on the other side, and hopefully we can learn to stretch the field a little more.
Going back to that run and shoot with Hawaii, obviously what it entails, being out here in the West, we hear it a lot, but say to the average football fan who's not familiar with what the run and shoot is versus something they've heard of before, like an air raid or something like that, what exactly is a run and shoot? Yeah,
it's a long-time version. Mouse Davis and June Jones and those guys have been doing it since Portland State days, and it started out as kind of a half roll and a half field read for quarterbacks, kind of a shorter version of a sprint out and a lot of different pass routes. And then if you overplayed that side, they could spin back and throw a vertical to the other side of the field. And then over time, it is not as much roll to it, but it's 4 or 5 wide receivers. It's quick throws. It's a lot of space. It's a modification of the air raid, but with a little more pocket movement of the quarterback. They get him back there very deep, so it's hard to get to him before he throws the ball. There's a lot of aspects to it, and then they've got a 270-pound running back there that if you overplay it too much, they can hand it or shovel it to him, and if he gets a head of steam up, that's a locomotive coming at you. So they got some good stuff going on in that, and they've even put tight ends in there. I know their tight end that we saw last year isn't playing for them right now, but they've got a couple other tight ends, and they put 2 backs in there. So Coach Chang and those guys have modified it. Like everybody does their own twist on that stuff, but it's certainly an offense when you throw that much that you got to defend, you got to match coverages, you got to do a lot of disguise, you got to slow them down a little bit, and you got to knock them off schedule, kind of like an option offense. You got to knock them off schedule so you can get into your serious pass rush stuff and take advantage of down and distance.
New Mexico had the #1 ranked offensive line according to Pro Football Focus, but it seemed like your defensive line kind of outplayed them. Last couple games, defensive lines played really well. What do you think's kind of brought them to the next level?
Yeah, I think our physicality has gotten better and better as this group's gone together and played more and more, and we're getting more guys in the game. And quite frankly, when you're ahead or you're close in games, you get a lot more chances to do that. And I think with our linebackers and the way they blitz and some of our edge guys, the stuff that John Maldonado's been able to do, getting involved in our schemes and stuff, I think that's all playing together, and the game situations made it such that we could get after quarterbacks, and I think run defense and moving our fronts around has helped. And we went into that San Diego State game 2 weeks ago saying they're the most physical team in the conference, and I thought we matched their physicality, and New Mexico is another big, strong offensive line, and we got really after them in the first half and made their quarterback make some bad decisions. And that's the way this defense is designed to work, with a lot of moving parts and a lot of backfield penetration, a lot of tackles for loss or sack opportunities, and our guys have done a really, really good job with that, other than I think a little bit in this last fourth quarter where maybe we should have kept our foot down a little more, and we didn't, but we were playing the game situation. And I think the better days are ahead for that whole front seven. And our secondary is the benefits of all that. They got 3 interceptions, or 2, and then the DN got 1, so that was a big deal for us.
Timmy Chang spent 5 years here. I guess, what's your relationship like with Timmy?
Yeah, Timmy and I have known each other for a long time. He's got one of the best personalities, one of the hardest working guys I've been around. He was great in Northern Nevada. I knew him long before that. I coached against him. That's how old I am, but I coached against him. And he's one of the guys I enjoy whenever we're around the head coaches' meetings, hanging out with, talking football with. He's a hard recruiter. He's got a lot of positive energy about him. I know he's going back to his alma mater and building over there, so we have a lot of conversations about the builds and how that stuff goes, real honest conversations. And he's just a guy that he's a good person and a guy I like to hang out with. And I think he'll do good things over there. I think their better days are ahead of them. They're building a program, and it's going to be a really fun game on Saturday. It's going to be an afternoon game in Mackey, and like the old days of bringing Hawaii in here, it's a late October, early November game. That's how it used to be.
How important is recruiting Hawaii to you guys? I know AJ is one of the bigger pieces from Hawaii that you guys have been able to bring in here.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 4 or 5 Hawaii guys on our team, and Anthony Arsenault on my staff, Peyton Yanagi on my staff, Al Lapuahu on my staff. They've all spent time in Hawaii. A couple of them went to high school over there, so we do a lot of work over in Hawaii. Just like when we were at Washington State and Oregon, we had a lot of the Hawaiian guys. But I think you saw Josiah Timoteo played 50 snaps as a true freshman at tackle. Got a great future ahead of him here. We got Hezekiah Ambrosio here that has had some rehab stuff going on. He's going to be a really good linebacker. So we've got guys, and we continue to recruit guys off of the island. They've got the Western Undergraduate Exchange, so we've been able to get some walk-ons here like Micah Lilo, Micah Kamat that are actively involved in our schemes. So we think that's one of the really good recruiting areas that we can utilize.
You guys lost Frank Poso during the game. Is there any update on his situation?
Yeah, Frank's he's going to be okay. There's nothing that's going to keep him out extended. It'll be a matter of pain tolerance and how much range of motion he can get back in. There's no tears or anything, which is good. Thank goodness for knee braces and stuff like that these days. But I thought it was really good to get Josiah out there. We've been excited to see what Josiah Timoteo could do, and I thought him and Kai Arneson really did a good job and got some little bit of playing time in there. Josiah Moore, and I was joking with Josiah at the end of the game because he started to cramp. I would say he's going to have to work a little harder in practice if he's going to play that many snaps. So, he's a big, raw, fast-footed offensive lineman that's going to be something else when he gets older here. But he held his own the whole night against a really good defensive front. So we'll see how Frank goes, but I know Josiah will be excited to play if he's out there versus Hawaii.
With Kalecki out, it looks like Cam's picked up a lot of the workload. I think he was injured earlier this year, but I guess what have been your thoughts on him as a redshirt freshman, maybe even a sophomore? I don't know how many games he played last year, but just getting
a redshirt freshman. Yeah, we got both those Jaden O'Rourke and Cam both playing. They're both freshmen and they're making freshman mistakes, but they also are big athletic guys. I mean, Jaden's 6'8", 250 pounds, and Cam's, I think he's close to breaking 230 now, but he runs like a wide receiver. So they give each one of them give us a little bit different thing. They're a big part of us being able to run the ball in the second half. As they get better in their physicality and blocking, our run game gets better. So we'll see how that goes. I think Kalecki will be back before the year's over. I think Dyson Frank will be back before the year's over. Cooper Schultz is not going to be back. He's on the right path to be back for spring. So Rory Morgan's back in the mix. He's another tight end that we have. So we're starting to, with Virgil and the learning, we're starting to incorporate more tight ends. But certainly Cam played last year and made catches and has really changes the athleticism at that position when he's out there. If we get him into the blocking game, it's going to be a better deal. But by the time we get to spring football, we're going to have a whole bunch of tight ends healthy around here. We're just kind of mixing them in and out now as we get them.
Have you seen this team's confidence tick up over the last 2 weeks?
I think their vibe, their feelings about themselves has really picked up. Which can't help. I think the practices have always been competitive, and we've always seen them improving. I think the buy-in, the temperament, the leadership, I think all that improves as you win games and guys see the fruits of all the labor they're putting in. We talk to them all the time about in sports and life. The way you have the biggest success is if you can make yourself invest without the guarantee of success. That's how you get success. If you always wait for the success before you buy in, it usually doesn't work. But if you throw yourself all into it and just work at it, the end product is usually pretty good. And I think our guys have done a good job of that.
Can you describe how your middle linebackers have played this season? It seems like Naki and Drew are some of the better players in the conference.
Yeah, I think those guys, they get better every time they go out there. And you throw in Jackson LeDuc and Davion Blackwell and Stone Combs. I mean, that position, I've said many times, that position went from being one that we didn't know anything about when we got here to being one now that those guys fight daily to see who's going to get the reps. Kaleo Neves was a late arrival that's starting to get reps at that position too. Hezekiah is going to get reps in there. John Thomas, JT, we got some reps at defensive end because he's a good pass rusher and he hasn't got much rep at linebacker. And then Michael Lilo's getting reps. So, Coach Bethea and those guys now have a large contingent of different talents that they can use, but certainly Naki and Drew have been stalwarts since the day I got here. They've started every game since we got here, and they're still young guys, so that's a good thing. And they fight, and they're on every special teams, and they're always in the office, and they do good in school. So there are guys you can build a whole defense and a whole really a culture in your program around.
With Halloween tomorrow, do you have a favorite trick-or-treat candy and a least favorite?
That's a good one. So if I was Mike Leach, I would say candy corn, right? Because I heard that for 6 years. So my favorite candy are Skittles. Any flavor, any kind, sour, it doesn't matter. But there's not much candy that I will not that I will turn away from. So I know Mrs. Wilson just had 130 Halloween bags that she handed out before yoga today to the players. So they all made sure they had a bag of Halloween candy. So she's all into Halloween, so am I guess. I appreciate you guys.